whole industry will collapse if such big films are made with just shifted just a wee bit, but a little movement of the hair. I remember Mr. Bachchan would sit on the set, but even when it was not his sequence.
Right.
He would watch. Momentarily, even Amit ji, they all felt when they heard the script, they all wanted to do Amjad's role.
If Hema Malini had not done Sita or Geeta, would she have been in Sholay? You're watching Spotlight on Connected to India. My name is Himanshu Verma. I did have an introduction, but I'm feeling a bit of a brain freeze as I'm in company of a gentleman called Ramesh Sippy, who does not require any introduction, who has directed some of the biggest film stars when film stars used to be much larger than life. That the whole concept of the boy next door and the girl next door hadn't come. I'm talking about the great Amitabh Bachchan, Dharmendra, Hema Malini, Shashi Kapoor, Sanjeev Kumar, Amjad Khan. Mr. Sippy, thank you very much for speaking to Connected to India and welcome to Spotlight.
Hi. Do tell me.
So first question, do you agree with me that film stars at the time, the kind of names I've taken, were larger than life, and then came the boy next door? How do you compare the film stars of two eras?
You're right. They were larger than life, most of them. Especially the big star cast ones, whether Manmohan Desai directed them or other big filmmakers. Yes, larger than life was.
Thanks for the breather. My brain is working again. I still want to do the introduction I've written for you. And at just 24 years old, Mr. Sippy made his directorial debut with Andaz in 1971.
25.
At 25, with Rajesh Khanna and Shami Kapoor and Hema Malini in lead, a film that became a major success and established him as a promising young director. He followed it up with Sita or Geeta just a year later, an even bigger hit. And a film that would go on to become one of the greatest films of all time was Sholay in 1975. Precisely on August 15, Indian cinema bore witness to a magnum opus that would become one of the biggest of all times. And sir, you complete 50 years of Sholay on 15 August 2025. So this is what I had written and I had to say this to you. And congratulations on completing 50 years. It's unprecedented. I don't think it's going to happen ever again.
Thank you.
So, pehla sawal, sir, as I said, you debuted and your debut production was such a big hit. But मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ, I'm curious that you picked up the biggest film star of that time, Rajesh Khanna, gave him an epic song which was a super hit, and then you did a love story of a couple. Both of them had their child. And why did you pick such a complicated story for your launch?
Well, because I wanted to be different. I thought if I made a film like that, boy meets girl, going around trees, singing songs, what have I done? So we did keep the tree in one sequence.
Yes.
With the song, but not exactly as it was happening before that, but in a much more subdued and subdued enough to suit the characters and their backgrounds. But what fascinated me was, if I could do that, I could bring a married man and a married woman together. They have lost their spouses, and will people not accept it? Will they not want them to come together? There was a lot of talk that that's the wrong direction to go into. People ultimately don't accept these kind of stories. And to some extent that was true, even for Andaz. We found the resistance in the smaller villages and smaller towns. It was We didn't have large audiences.
Mhm.
In the big towns and cities, we had a much better response. And yes, what fascinated me was, and um, that I was able to, with one song, Hai Na Bolo Bolo, Papa ko
Mummy
mummy
se
se,
mummy
mummy
ko
ko
papa
papa
se.
se. Yeah.
Ji.
I just felt very confident that with this song, somehow this theme would
Resonate with people.
It becomes a family film. That may be going against family in the sense the theme might sound like it's not family, not a family theme. And of course, what I did with the Rajesh Khanna song
Yeah.
was both very fascinating but also difficult, because I said we won't get off the bike, and throughout in as many different ways
Yeah.
as we could, I wanted a 360 degrees shot around the bike, a moving bike,
Right.
which had not been done.
Right.
So everything, I like to make things difficult for myself. I think.
Right. Right.
But that's the challenge, and that's what brings out something different. Like, for instance, even Sholay. The first day, we had heavy rains, so we couldn't shoot. Next day was 2nd of October. And again, the downpour was heavy. So there's some message coming in from above that the sun is saying, Gandhi's birthday and you're starting a violent film.
Right.
So I said, let's go on, let's keep going. And the first shot was Mr. Bachchan handing the key to Jaya Bahaduri. So it was a nice opening. It was the only shot we took. The rains were heavy and we managed to get this one shot in.
Let me stop you there. So that was the very first scene of Sholay which was shot of Mr. Bachchan giving the keys to Jaya Bahaduri when they were trying
very
to...
first shot.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, everything was kind of an experiment and wanting to do things right. I started that scene of the massacre of the family
Ji.
and shot the scene in lovely normal light. And 2 days after that, the clouds came in. On the second day, I told my cameraman, because my mind started working, don't you think this is a better atmosphere to have a scene like this? The whole transformation took place in my head that this would be better suited to
shoot a gloomy scene.
Gloom, with this gloomy feeling. And people, we did everything. After 2 days, when we had reshot everything, the sun came back. So what do we do? And I told the cameraman, now what? And he said, I told you. He's the one who said that it can change again. I said, now we stick to this. So we waited for the clouds. Then we did created a soft light by putting a white cloth, huge white cloth above the characters,
Right.
as they spoke, and made the whole scene, wherever we shifted from moment to moment, we had the wind blower, because the whole idea was when Mr. Sanjeev Kumar comes there, the Thakur, and he sees his family, it starts there as he pulls aside the cloth and sees the child.
The coffin cloth.
And then the wind and his emotions. The wind blows off a lot of the cloths and
Yes.
everywhere. And by the time he gets on his horse, he's full of rage, and the winds are all with him,
Yes.
against him, with him, as you call it. And it gave the whole sequence a lot of
Gravity.
impact.
Yes.
So that's the way I shot every kind of sequence. And now let's do this. The holy sequence took 23 days.
Right.
Every sequence started becoming a project, a whole film. Today, films are shot in 25 days,
Yes.
23 days. Anyway, that was an experience. Shot the whole film, it took about 300 odd days.
So you've started talking about Sholay, so I'm going to stay on the same track then. I was going to ask you some questions about your earlier films. I'll come back to that later. So, what was what was the reactions from all the great actors when you narrated the film for the first time to Mr. Bachchan and everywhere else? Because Mr. Bachchan was 32 at that time, Hema Malini was just 26, Dharmendra was 39, the oldest of the lot. Jay Bhadri was 27. So, do you recall when you narrated Sholay for the first time? By then, you had already become a successful director. You had become given super hits, Sita Aur Geeta and Andaz. So, what were their first reactions? Do you recall?
Luckily for me, I had two fabulous writers, Salim Javid, and they were very expressive, as you know.
Right.
So the three of us would go, and the actor, whoever he or she, when they were face to face with this formidable force of three,
Yeah.
got carried away by what we were talking about. Because genuinely the script was very good.
Right.
And and they'd probably never heard things like this before. So they were all taken up and very happy, very excited to be able to do the film. That's why we managed to get all of them, such big names, together in one film, except for Amjad, who was a new guy. That also happened because Danny Denzongpa was in Afghanistan shooting for Firoz Khan. So that's how it happened.
So your cast was the first choice. The entire cast.
After the script.
After the script, the very first choice, Mr. Bachchan playing.
Yes, all first choice.
Right. And how did they take getting directed by a young man like you?
I don't know what their minds were saying to them.
Yeah.
But I think the way we narrated the subject to them, they felt confident that these guys seem to know what they want. So let's give it a go.
So from the gossip which we hear is it was Sanjeev Kumar and Dharmendra ji. Both of them were, vying for Hema Malini ji at that time. So did that act as a motivation for them to give their best performances?
I don't think that could ever be the reason.
Okay.
Because an actor's hunger is very different from his personal life. He wants to, it's a romantic moment or something, I can understand. But otherwise, in moments of performance, the actor is taken up, he is excited by the moment, by the lines, and on the sets of Sholay, everything was in action. Sometimes a wind blow was just there, cardboard was kept in front of the fan, and at the right moment just shifted just a wee bit for a little movement of the hair.
Right.
So things like that made everyone feel that this is something special happening.
Right.
So they got excited and they were involved and they all wanted to. I remember Mr. Bachchan would sit on the sets, but even when it was not his sequence.
Right.
He would watch. He would watch how the actors were acting. He would watch how we were taking the shots. It was very, very interested in learning more and more and more. He was very excited, and he was very. It was great having him on the set.
Right. Mr. Sippy, I was telling you earlier that we are going to be targeting a lot of young audience with this interview. And there are some stories, and one very interesting story जो आपने पहले भी बताई है कि जिस दिन शोले रिलीज हुई थी 15 अगस्त 1975 में, so you got a certain reaction from the audiences, and then you did something over that weekend, and then things changed on Monday. Would like to hear from you कि क्या हुआ था?
Nothing, and we did nothing. Surprised. We did hear there was a lot of controversy over the first 3 days because the trade papers smashed the film. Said, this is the end of the world. Whole industry will collapse if such big films are made with so much money and so the,
Were these mainline publications or trade journals?
yeah, trade papers.
Trade papers.
So with that, the talk all over the industry became, but it's gone, finished. Millions and millions gone. So anyway, on the Monday morning after the release, in those days we would judge by the queues for the advance booking. So went to a lot of theatres in the suburbs and everywhere. There was not a single person at the box office. And went to Minerva and Excelsior, the two cinemas which were showing 70 mm. And long queues were there for the advance booking of the next week. Got a little confused what exactly is happening. And one guy from Worli, a cinema, normal cinema from Worli, called me and he said, come over to the theatre. He called me at a time, it was just before the interval. 10 minutes later when the interval happened, nobody came out. The stalls were there and all the drinks were there, but nobody came to. Even they're not doing business. This is the situation. But the theatre wala said, you know why? Because they're stunned. They're sitting there. They can't get up. They would come after 10 minutes of the second half beginning, they would rush back. That's how it happened. That was the first indication that they're actually spellbound. So then, of course, the rest is history. That each and every dialogue was uttered before it was came on screen. So that's why I said the trio of us, Salim Javed and myself, felt pretty good right from the beginning to.
So, I mean, the film basically belonged to a lot of people.
Of course.
The actors, yourself, the writers.
First, the writers and before the subject. Then the actors. Each one of the actors gave a sterling performance. Each one of them. Even the side characters, the character artists as you call them. A small role like Sachin's was also equally appreciated.
Yeah.
So it was everything just grew while we were making the film, and all my plans went haywire. I thought every month I had 15-20 days of shoot. I would finish 5 scenes, 4 scenes, 7 scenes, 6 scenes, whatever. I ended up with half a scene. And then on one condition, that all the artists will be there and nobody leaves till I finish the film.
Amazing. And what was the duration supposed to be?
About 4 or 5 months of the main sequences and everything.
Right.
And then a lot of work on the action side, for which we finally went to England and got the cameraman and stuntman who do specialize in this kind of work. So along with them, the three of us sat and discussed a lot of how the work would be done, planned and replanned the whole thing. And that following year, we started in October and went on non-stop till the end of January.
Yeah. And you had all of these big stars not looking at the other schedules and it stayed with you.
What they did, some of them couldn't be helped. They called producers to Bangalore. If you want to shoot during this period, we are under curfew with Mr.
City
Sippy.
arrest.
So you're welcome. I will, because we're not in every sequence, but we're not free to travel. So the other producers came there. Somebody had one scene to finish. The film was holding, so they finished that sequence in a studio or at a location or whatever they did.
Yeah.
So they all came and shot their films with the different actors at different times.
Yeah.
And we went on, and end of January we finished the main part of the film. Then we did went and did a 7-week schedule in Panvel for the train sequence. That took 7 weeks to shoot that one sequence. And finally we were almost ready for the final stages, which is editing and background music. And that also Pancham, R.D. Burman got so excited when he saw the film. It was a 4-hour film, and he said, don't touch a frame, I'm going to do the... But we gave him about 3.5 hours. I kept editing till we...
got to 3.5 hours.
Came down to 3.5 hours. I think we released about 3 hours, 3.5 hours, 3 hours, 40 minutes, something like that.
Right. So, Mr. Sippy, I asked NRI audiences across various markets on what were their favorite scenes and what did they find like very interesting. So, you will be surprised by this. Everybody was fascinated by the opening sequence and also fascinated how in that time you did such a complex sequence of horses running along the train, the whole dacoity thing. So, I have 2 questions. One is how did you shoot that? And second, very difficult for you to answer, but is there one of your favorite sequences, something which you really liked from the film?
I mean, I get involved in every sequence. For me, there are no favorites like that.
Right.
But
are you surprised with this reaction which I got? When you, like the favorite sequence, which everybody was intrigued, was this particular very long sequence, just carries on and on.
Of course. And it took us, as I said, 7 weeks to shoot. And everything on the set was decided, then planned, because we realized we couldn't complete it just the track. Also, then in that area, the whole officialdom pounced on us.
Okay. Which area was this?
It was Panvel.
Panvel, okay.
Panvel to Uran stretch. Uran is where the sea is.
Right.
So this was a goods train that would go there to deliver goods. And it ran only twice a day. Morning it would take the stuff there, at night would come back, and in the evening,
right,
the return trip. And then, so this kind of shooting was extremely difficult because A, it was so hot, and the extras and the energy needed for all these moments were quite tiring for the crew and for the actors and everything. But everybody was excited that we're doing something different. They could feel
right
that a very different kind of film was being made.
Right, right. So I want to change gears and ask you about the music. What was your brief to Mr. R.D. Burman? Because music itself has lived forever.
Um, I think we went by the situations, like Ye Dosti has become a unforgettable song when it's about friends and it's about and but when a song becomes popular, everyone sings it
Right.
and plays as well as even with lovers. It works.
Right.
Uh, but it's like a bonding between two people.
Correct.
I think um, I think shooting gave me more excitement because it was not happening properly. It took long to get exactly what I wanted. So that, I think I was, in some way, I must be a warped guy. Uh, how can you feel good about a 10-day sequence being done in 23 days? But it gave me the feeling that this is exactly what it should be.
Yeah. You know, Mr. Sippy, I've read this very interesting book. It's called Profiles of Audacity. So it has got very audacious people like Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Alexander the Great, who did things which were unimaginable in humanity. I'd say that you, as a young man, starting with Andaz, completely crazy storyline, then hoping that it's going to be a hit, which it became, then changing gears to do Sita or Gita, then doing Sholay. I would say you've been a
But
very
Sita Aur Gita was
audacious.
just as exciting.
Yeah, I'm sure. So I'm saying you clearly were a very audacious person, and you pretty much you did very well. You know, each step you took in audacity, you did well. But I want to ask you a hypothetical question. In Sita or Gita, your original actress you wanted to play Sita or Gita was Mumtaz ji, right?
That's right.
And then why did she not play? And then Hema Malini came. And if Hema Malini had not done Sita or Gita, would she have been in Sholay as Basanti?
I don't ever look back
Yeah,
that way.
yeah,
I just felt when you hear the script of a film like Sita or Gita,
yeah.
at that point in time, Mumtaz seemed to be the perfect choice.
Gotcha.
I did have a word with her, and she said that she had a lot of films on hand and would not be able to give me the dates I needed because I needed a whole chunk of dates to finish the film at a stretch, more or less, not exactly, but 6 to 8 months
Yeah.
and finish the whole thing. And then, as I had this in mind, and I was wondering how we would go about it. I was sitting, we were dubbing for Andaz, and I was in the room inside, and Hemaji was dubbing, and I asked her, would you like to do Ramasham, Sita or Gita? Huh? What are you talking about? Me? I said, yes, you. So then it became a challenge. How to get the best
Right,
from her. And of course, she put her heart and soul into it.
right.
A role of a lifetime that way for her because
Yes.
even Sholay did not give her that variety of things to do. Sholay was a fabulous role.
Yes.
Basanti is
Iconic.
probably more remembered than Sita or Gita.
Ji.
But yes, she was all of them. But they all had Sanjeev Kumar, Dharmendra, and momentarily even Amit ji. They all felt when they heard the script, they all wanted to do Amjad's role because that was a colorful role.
Ji.
That was a performing role of
Yeah.
a different kind.
Yeah.
Um, so, but of course, like I told Ramji, if you want to do Amjad's role, then you won't get him Malini.
So that was the deal maker for him.
No. I'm fine.
I know.
I'm fine, but I am.
Fantastic. So, in Sita or Geeta, Hema Malini ji's portrayal of Geeta's character, clearly you saw glimpses of Basanti. Because these three films happened so close to each other. I'm intrigued that were you working on three plots at the same time?
Sorry?
Sita or Geeta, Andaz, and Sholay sort of happened in
No.
4 to 5 year framework, right?
That's all.
So, where you.
But that's because I was young and excited. And
Yeah.
Salim Javed were equally young and excited, and together we formed a kind of team that just
Ji.
kept the thought.
J.
When I narrated the thought to them for Sita or Geeta, they said, "Wow, this is it. Let's do it." And we started working almost immediately, and within 1 month, we started shooting
Right.
with Hema Malini on the fan.
Again, this question, I mean, I may know the answer, but I want to ask you across your career, which film would you say has been the most fulfilling for you?
All of them. See, after Sholay, it would be difficult to make any film.
That's right.
So I went into a completely different kind of world,
Right.
the Bond world.
Yes. Sean.
Sean.
Yes.
I said, if I'm going to be excited about it, then I better go for that. After that, I did Shakti,
Yes.
which again was drama, so it was different. But with Dilip Kumar and Amitabh Bachchan, it was a great sense of achievement being part of that kind of work. It was very different also from my other works.
Ji.
And then I went for a complete change, a love story, Sagar.
Yes.
So my choices have always been different.
Yeah. So, incidentally, I'd like to interrupt you there and also share with everyone that how Sagar was India's first entry to Oscars, wasn't it? Was the first Hindi film to be sent to Oscars.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry.
So, very simply, it was not. After I'd made all these films, so unless something excites me, I don't want to. I got into making Zamana Divana because this wonderful new actor was coming up. My father had introduced him. His first film, Raju Bhatia Gentleman,
Ji.
was produced by my father.
Yes.
So I said, okay, here's a young guy, let's try and do something with him. But the mistake I made, of course, was going in for a very old kind of film.
Right.
The way they were making them before.
Right.
I didn't do what I was normally doing, something different.
Right.
I went back to the old. And that's what didn't work. And of course, then I shifted into television, did some good work there, including Bunyad, and some work for Bombay, the Delhi morning television started.
Ji.
So things like that.
Yeah.
I did some television work. And then after a long gap, I did Shimla Mirch.
Ji.
I said, this is a lighter film. Let me try out something different. Imagine a love affair between Hema Malini and Rajkumar.
Yeah, you're back with Hema Malini.
Huh?
You're back with Hema Malini.
Yeah, but it was the thought that how this would look
Ji.
that excited me. Let's do something different.
Yeah. And so, final question, sir. What excites you as a filmmaker? What should we look forward to you getting from you now?
Something different. I hope it strikes soon and I can do another one. Otherwise, I won't do it.
Yeah, I'm sure it will, sir. If there was ever a time when I feel like if time machine could be invented and I could be a fly on the wall, watching your career, this is the time. Thank you very much for speaking to us. What a pleasure talking to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.